Say Britain built up a fairly useful lead after the first leg of the Transatlantic Challenge, something like 48 points there. We had the first 4 chaps home. So the charismatic Fred Merkel and the acrobatic Kevin Schwantz have got an awful lot to do to catch up for the Americans. We're going over to the second leg live now, and I wonder what chance Chris Carter gives the Americans of making up that leeway.
Well, I wouldn't write them off, Tony. I think they've got an uphill task, to say the very least. But the World Championship scoring system of 15 points for a winner, 12 for second, 10 for third, does mean, in fact, that if you do well, if you can mass some people up the front of the grid, then you can do well. This, of course, is the warming-up lap. 7 more races, including this one, to go in the team challenge. So a fair way to go yet, and I wouldn't write the Americans off. But they've certainly got another problem to face in this one, because I saw going out at the start of the warm-up lap is Ron Haslam. So Ron Haslam fans will be delighted to know that Haslam is in the run. There goes number 5, Ron Haslam, on what is basically a standard production motorcycle. Going through the S's then. This is the warm-up lap. And Kenny Irons fired up, no doubt, with his fine performance in that first leg.
And of course we've got Kevin Schwantz out again. He crashed in the first leg, but the bike wasn't badly damaged. It was full of mud, and they've cleaned that off. He fell because he had a rain tyre on the bike, and it just warmed up too much in only what was damp conditions, and as the rubber got too hot, it just slid away from him. So he should be doing better this time with the right tyres on the bike.
So as the grid assembles, the question is, what sort of tyre should they be using? Barry Sheen, what do you think of the selection for that man?
Well, that's a Michelin's, what do you call it, sort of intermediate. It's more of a wet tyre than it is an intermediate. But the compound of that tyre, that'll stay up well in these conditions. That's no problem. I think Kevin Schwantz had a problem because he plumped for a front Dunlop rain tyre, which is very soft rubber. And after 3 or 4 laps, just got too sort of chewing gummy, and he lost the front end going into Redgate.
Well, let's hope that Kevin Schwantz doesn't do the same this time. They call them the starters orders. The 4-stroke engine noise rises to a crescendo. People have been pushing forward, and Kevin Schwantz is in trouble. He's waving his arm. The mechanics rush forward. Kevin Schwantz on the front row of the grid, and whatever his problem is, nobody's going to help him, because the starters have said, I'm sorry fellas, you're under starters orders. Number 1, Fred Merkel there, and the charge, and Ken Irons again. Kevin Schwantz made a good start, so did Keith Ewan, number 16, is there in second place. Kenny Irons, number 8, leads, and Kevin Schwantz goes through into second spot, and it'll be a brave man who winds the pair on too much. No problems this time at Redgate. Down Hollywood into Craner Curves, and Ken Irons, the 23-year-old privateer, is the man who leads at the moment, but Kevin Schwantz is lining himself up to make the charge. There in the middle of that group was Rob McElnay, the man who won. There's the leaders, number 8, Kenny Irons, 34, Kevin Schwantz. Brent leads America, and Schwantz goes through on the inside. He doesn't hang about, he doesn't wait. And that was a really fearless move for a man who took a tumble in the opening leg.
And Ken Irons said after Schwantz had crashed in the first race that when he chased the American and the American went away, he said it was like he was in a different race altogether, and surely he had to fall off.
Roger Bennett in second place. In fourth position is Chris Martin, and there, right down towards the tail end, Ron Haslam on that basically production road bike. Kenny Irons leads from Kevin Schwantz into the S's. Then it's Roger Bennett, and Kenny Irons goes through, and he forces the American wide. Well, Kenny Irons, a hard bit of riding there.
Schwantz started a very unusual manoeuvre to go around the outside, and this is more usual. Up the inside goes Schwantz to take the lead on the Suzuki.
Schwantz the leader. Irons on the Yamaha in second place. Roger Bennett on the Rothmans Honda in third spot. So Kevin Schwantz the 22-year-old Texan who led the first race and then threw it away at Redgate, is going to be the race leader at the end of this opening lap. 1 lap gone, and there's Fred Merkel behind him, 5th place. There is Fred Merkel, you can see him, and we've got 2 Americans in the first 5. Well, if they could finish first and second, it wouldn't do their cause any harm at all. Merkel up to 4th place now, and he's going to go around. Oh, dear, 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 dear. Well, I would have thought that Fred Merkel should have known that Redgate was slippery, Peter.
Well, certainly he does now, and he slipped so far it was down on his knee pad, sliding along on just 1 tyre on a knee pad as we watch number 34 Schwantz in the lead.
Barry, what do you think of it so far?
Well, the way Fred Merkel's riding, I'll give him another 2 laps, I tell you, because you just can't get away with that all day. Oh, I don't believe it. Yeah, I'd say 1 lap, actually.
Well, Fred Merkel has thrown, let's say, be kind to him and say he's thrown caution to the wind. He's in 3rd place at the moment. We saw him have that nasty slide. The Superbike champion from America, number 1, he's in 3rd place at the moment, and he's getting that bike heeled over to not impossible angles, but brave and reckless angles considering the weather conditions. And Merkel's lining himself up for another manoeuvre here. It's Schwantz for America, Kenny Irons for Britain, then Fred Merkel, then Chris Martin, and then Roger Burnett, then it's Robert McElnay, then it's Reuben McMurtagh behind McMurtagh, who's Dale Quarterly for the Americans. There's John Bexcourt. And there you are, number 5, Ron Haslam, on what is really basically it had registration plates, indicators, and the wing mirrors on when he came here on Thursday. The race leader, Schwantz, in front. Kenny Irons in 2nd place. Merkel has lost the position. Fred Merkel has lost the place, and he winds up the Honda. Look at Merkel now. Oh dear, dear, dear. What are they going to do at Redgate this time? Schwantz the leader. Irons. Chris Martin. Fred Merkel very wide. Backed over. No problems this time though.
Much more circumspect from Merkel that time, but now he's round the outside of Chris Martin and then looking good. The inside line, a very slippery place to try it. All desperately difficult stuff from Merkel, but Martin holds the advantage from number 1, the American Superbike champion.
Well, Merkel has added some spark and zest, and he just charges round the outside of Chris Martin. The question is, can he stay on if he rides like this? Merkel, he was furious at his performance in the first leg.
Obviously, Merkel is one of these leaders who believes as captain you can't ask your men to do what you're not prepared to do yourself, and he certainly is sticking his neck out in pursuit of victory. Now up into 3rd place and closing on Ken Irons. So it's Americans in 1st and 2nd position now, really reversing the position of the first race. And
Kevin Schwantz beginning to stretch an advantage slightly over the British boy Kenny Irons. Ken Irons, a Pro-Am winner, he's won the ACU 250 Production Championship, Club Championship. Rob McElnay, number 4, going through. Oh, desperate stop here between the Americans. That was Dale Quarterly and Reuben McMurtagh, 2 of the Americans absolutely side by side. Round to Melbourne, hairpin. Merkel in 3rd place. Well, Barry Sheen was impressed with the performance of Fred Merkel, and with good reason. Here is Merkel trying so hard. And of course it's a mixture of machines again. It's a Suzuki leading a Yamaha and a Honda, so all 3 marks well presented at the front as 34 Schwantz leads 8 Ken Irons, and number 1 Merkel, the American team captain. I think we lost Chris Martin from that leading quintet, and perhaps Roger Marshall will not be surprised that Chris Martin has gone down, Peter? No, the 2 of them had a coming together in the last race. Chris Martin and Roger Marshall collided early on in the race, and Marshall said that Chris had got in a little bit out of his depth, so I wonder if he's disappeared in this 2nd leg. Kevin Schwantz, the race leader, and Steve Parrish has gone into the pits. Stavros finished 4th in the opening leg. And in fact, it was Chris Martin who obviously went... no, in fact, we have lost Chris Martin. Just checking on the lap charts. And there's the battle for 2nd place. Look at this. Merkel and Kenny Irons, two hard men. Oh, and Merkel goes to... Well, he thought that Kenny Irons was playing about, I think.
Yes, Irons just got in too deep. He braked very, very late and ran wide, letting Merkel slip through.
And we're coming to Melbourne Hairpin, where the yellow flags are out because there has been an incident. And it looks as though it's Chris Martin who went down. The officials are there. That is Chris Martin, the new member of the Skull Bandit Suzuki team, and the marshals being passed each side, and the yellow flags being waved, and the acknowledgement there from Kevin Schwantz. The white flag goes out. Well, Barry, it's been a hectic race so far.
Yeah, it has. There's a bit of confusion going on at the moment because the course car's out on the circuit with a blue light flashing, and I would say the most sensible thing to do would be to stop the race, actually, because Chris Martin has obviously hurt himself a bit. So the most logical thing to do would be to stop the race, because he's being attended in the middle of the racetrack, and people are tearing either one side and the other, and it's not a sensible thing to do to keep the race going, really.
And the white flags to indicate that the circuit doctor is on his way in the emergency vehicle round to the incident. And into the pits comes Ron Haslam. I know he wasn't happy at the tail end of the field. That's production road-going VF 750 Honda. Was quick enough, Ron thought, but he just couldn't make it go quickly around the corners.
No, it's just not wet enough for Ron to stand any chance of making use of that road-going bike.
Barry?
Yeah, it looks now as if they've stopped the race, because, as I say, the rider was in the middle of the track and the people were trying to sort of give him some help, and it was the only logical thing to do to stop the race.
And as the course cars go down, the yellow flag still being waved there, and they appear to have moved Chris Martin, so the white flag out is there for the ambulance on the circuit. I've not seen any sign of the crossed oil and yellow flag, so I presume the race is still running. Well, Barry, what do you think about the decision not to stop the race?
Well, I was a bit confused, actually, because down at Redgate here, the guy was getting ready with the cross flags, and as I turned to talk to you, it looked like he picked them up, and then I turned around again and the flags had gone down. But it looks now as if they've got Chris off of the circuit, so there's no need to stop the race now, but I would have thought it would have been a prudent thing to do to have stopped it earlier on.
Well, Chris Martin safely out of the way. We hope that he's not seriously hurt. Certainly the officials were there very quickly with him. Kevin Schwantz is the leader, 2 seconds the advantage between himself and Fred Merkel in second place. In third spot at the moment in that confusion goes Kenny Irons. Fourth place is Roger Bennett. Fifth is Rob McElnay, and in sixth position is Dan Chivington. So 3 Americans in the top 6. It'll be interesting to see what the point situation will be if they keep the points order at the moment.
And as we watch Schwantz, it's interesting to reflect on what we were saying earlier, that no one has heard of these guys before, because Schwantz is obviously going to be heard of again, as is this man number 1, Fred Merkel. Schwantz, the leader, had never seen this track before this weekend. He'd never seen this motorcycle before this weekend, and here he is out in front of the field, even after he fell off already once.
Yes,
And Kevin Schwantz looks to see what's happening with the course car. Barry down at Redgate.
Well, yeah, as you were saying, the old Americans have sprung a few surprises. The biggest surprise to me is that Fred Merkel got away with the first 3 laps, because the conditions were very, very slippery. And if you'd have seen it sort of with your real eyes, as it were, down at Redgate here, you would have never believed it. But good luck to him. He's kept it upright, and after all, that's the name of the game. I'm so impressed with Kenny Irons, you know. He's doing a really good job. He's riding a steady race, and he's keeping the thing nicely in control. I haven't seen him get it sideways or anything, where Kevin Schwantz is riding the same sort of way. I can't really say the same for Fred Merkel, though.
Kevin Schwantz, the leader. There is Fred Merkel in second place. Merkel wanted to do so well. And 32 reckoning, and probably a few more. So that probably around 40 points, I think, for the Americans.
And of course we can expect the Americans to get better and better through the weekend, because they had the terrible problem of learning a new circuit in very, very freezing cold, wet conditions, and now they're getting to grips with it. They're getting faster and faster, and they'll be very, very hard to beat as the weekend goes on.
So the leaders on the final lap: Kevin Schwantz, number 34, the 22-year-old Texan, and Fred Merkel, the 23-year-old Californian, the man who combines male modelling with a motorcycling career. And Kenny Irons there, he's had a fine ride. Roger Bennett, two young British riders. In fact, it's the young men from both teams, Peter, who've done the business in this second race.
Yes, if there was any lack of experience, they're made up with youthful enthusiasm. As we watch Ken Irons and Burnett, two of the British hopefuls here. Burnett very, very late on the brakes, making full use of the fact that the new surface is very grippy.
So Kevin Schwantz and a big, big wheelie from Fred Merkel. Third home is Kenny Irons for Britain. Fourth is Roger Bennett. And look how those boys are happy. Kevin Schwantz and Fred Merkel, they are beside themselves, and with good reason. If they can reproduce that sort of form in the three-team races tomorrow and the three-team races on Monday, the Americans could be back in it. Well, a tremendous performance, and are they happy with themselves? They are really chuffed. Kevin Schwantz, their confirmation, the winner. Fred Merkel in second place. Third Kenny Irons for Britain, and we're waiting for the final points tally to be done, but certainly America will have done a great deal towards recouping that deficit from the opening leg, and Kevin Schwantz and Fred Merkel have definitely proved that this American versus Britain team contest is not yet over. Merkel and Schwantz punching the air in jubilation. Well, they rode like heroes, and they're got every reason to be pleased. Well, Barry, fine performance there from Kevin Schwantz and Fred Merkel, and how do you think this team contest is going to go now?
Barry, I think Chris Carter was asking you about that performance by Merkel and Schwantz there, which was a little bit surprising.
I must admit, Schwantz rode very, very well. I couldn't altogether agree with the way that Fred Merkel was riding at the beginning, but as I say, the name of the game is finishing the race, and that's exactly what he did.
You had the impression he might have been all hot air, Fred, didn't you? But
well,
no,
I was surprised he was saying that he doesn't need the practice. Well, he proved us wrong. He doesn't need the practice. He got a good result. But you've got to give the English guys credit, because the young guys, Roger Burnett and Kenny Irons, they did good.
Yeah, well, Chris Carter said that you shouldn't write off the Americans. I'm not exactly sure what the point situation is, or whether we've got a caption that will tell us. It doesn't look as if we have, but obviously they're going to be worth thinking about tomorrow and on Monday, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so, because now what's happened, you see the Americans got a bit more confidence up, and they obviously all chose the right tyres in that one. So I think the weekend's going to develop into quite a battle.
Yes, I mean, what made the big difference, do you think, in that second race?
I think bearing in mind they've never raced on this circuit before, they didn't really know how slippery it was. So, in all honesty, Kevin Schwantz did the best thing by plumping for the tyre that could cope with the worst conditions. And it was obviously too soft, and that's why he fell off. So, in the next race, which was that one, he knew the combination to hand.
Right, we saw Ron Haslam making a brief appearance there.
I think
it's almost a waste of time, isn't it?
It's disgusting on Honda's behalf. I mean, they were to be shot, sending a guy that's the highest guy up in, British guy up in the World Championship last year, sending him out on a bloody road bike. I mean, it's a disgrace. It really is a disgrace.
Right, well, I think we can go back to Gary Newbond down in the pits now, can't we? No, we can't. We'll carry on for a minute. Yes, we can.
Yes, we can. Oh, I've got to hear.
Well, what about that? The Americans have really bounced back.
You bet. Me and Kevin went out in the first round, and we're very unfamiliar with the track. We both used front full rain tires. Kevin smoked his off in 2 laps and bailed, and
you seem to be taking some risks. We thought you were going to come off.
Yeah, on the first leg, you bet.
Okay, well, the Americans are very much back in it. Well done. We're looking forward to some tremendous racing for the rest of the day.
We got 6 more, no problem.
Yeah. Okay. Well, no problem at all, according to him. We're back tomorrow, Easter Sunday, with 3 more races in this Transatlantic series. We'll be back with you at midday, or as Americans would say, high noon. I wonder if they really can make it back again. From Barry Sheen and from me,